What's up, guys? I'm Eric Lloyd with Oregon Risk Management Solutions, and we're here for another episode of What Not to Do. This is episode 4, where we look at different workplace accidents, injuries, close calls, and we kind of break down what went wrong, what we can learn from it, have some laughs along the way. Getting lots of positive feedback, lots of new followers. We appreciate it. With that, let's jump into our first clip. What's going on here? That is, Dakota, you keep with the heights. We're really high up in the air. We're leaning way over here. At least he's got his hard hat on, I guess. Oh my gosh, no. Oh no! So that fell and took out their scaffolding, but at least they're tied off, so there's that. Is he gonna like surf his way down the little board here? Holy cow, that's scary. I'm glad that went the way that it did. It's always kind of the running joke that like safety harnesses work a lot better when you connect them to something. And these guys had the foresight to actually tie off to it. So it's definitely a good reminder that anytime we don't have a railing or a standoff distance from a drop off, we want to make sure we're tied off to a fall protection harness. Generally, if we're over 48 inches, that's going to be our threshold. Depending on the rules we're working with, construction, working off of scaffolding, that number can be a little bit higher sometimes, but 48 inches is a good rule of thumb to make sure we've got something protecting us from falling. So that was crazy. Glad they turned out okay. All right, so we've got clip number 2 that says worker falls while wearing fall protection. We got our hard hat. Man, we're acing our PPE here. It's like we're right on the edge of a little pit there. He's inching along. I'm hoping that harness is going to do its job. Got a ladder tucked up behind him. Boy, he's sure not watching what's behind him, though, is he? Oh, here we go. He's trying to save it. Whoa. And again, the friend's like, Bob, what are you doing down there? That's crazy. So there's another example why fall protection is good. The thing that makes me a little bit nervous there is you couldn't see for sure how far down he fell. Not to say that this was wrong necessarily, maybe not quite what not to do, but we do want to make sure that whatever we're tied off to, be it a rope or a leash or a lanyard or a yo-yo, whatever, we want to make sure that that is a shorter distance than it is down to the ground, the fall that we could potentially have, right? You couldn't really see there, but it looked like he had a lot of rope that went over that edge, and it wasn't that far of a drop down there. You know, we worry that you fall all that way and you hit the ground before your rope or leash catches you. So hopefully that worked out okay there. We always want to make sure that we've got a plan to get somebody down if they're ever using that fall protection for real, if they fall on their hanging. So at least their friend was there checking on them to see what we need to do to get them extracted. I suppose one more takeaway we could talk about with fall protection real quick. So I always want to remember that's one-time use. If we ever use it for real, we've got to make sure that we replace it because we don't want to have multiple falls on the same harness where it could put that extra wear on the rope or the straps or the buckles or anything and have it break on a future fall. So he just turned that into a training prop after that one. You know, the other thing I noticed about that, the location he tied off to, he had his rope connected to that railing just on this side of where he went over. And that railing moved quite a bit. I mean, it caught him, but we do always want to make sure we've got an approved anchor point, something that is rated to hold that. You know, we might think, hey, I weigh 175 pounds, I weigh 200 pounds, I weigh 250 pounds, so it only needs to hold that, right? But we got to make sure our anchor point can hold that plus the weight of, you know, the inertia of our weight moving as well. Generally, an approved anchor point is going to be rated for like several thousand pounds, not a few hundred pounds. So we want to be watching for that for sure. All right, so we got our third clip for this episode. It's titled The Birth of an Arborist. I don't know what to make of that. We're cutting a tree over here. Had the good sense to get out of the way as it's coming down anyway. Whoa, what? He's just like taking a nap in there? Holy cow. I didn't see that one coming. I'm assuming that we were doing that just to be silly. But have you guys ever seen when you like cut a tree and it finally breaks loose and instead of just cleanly tipping over, it kind of like hops and shifts and the base of it jumps up and down and bounces all around? That definitely could have gone a different way as well. Trees like that are heavy. Trees way smaller than that we're cutting down are heavy. They can move really unpredictably. They can go different directions than we're planning on. They can bounce around on you. So we definitely, good rule of thumb is we've only got one person in the area when we're doing chainsaw work with big trees and, not hiding in the stone. It was funny, I'll give them that, but probably not the safest thing. That firmly falls in the category of what not to do. But again, their PPE was on point. I like it. Okay, guys, we've got one more clip for this episode. Let's see what producer Dakota here dug up for us. I already hate those pliers hanging out of his pocket. I'm just waiting for him to land on those. Not the most ideal ladder setup. What? Dude, that's like a third story. What? Oh my God. Producer Dakota outdid himself on this one. So all the things that are wrong with this, not necessarily using the ladder quite as intended, leaned way out over the top of the staircase there, 3 stories up. So we're not talking about a little fall, we're talking about a big fall if anything goes wrong. And then anytime you're relying on a buddy to stand there and hold a ladder in place, that's telling us that maybe we need to do things slightly different. So how could we have handled that instead? I mean, again, obviously that's way high up there. Maybe you could get a big extension ladder or something like that effect. Maybe there was enough room on the ground to bring in a scissor lift or something to that. But man, that's a hard one. That's one we'd want to bring in the pros for rather than say, hey, I can wire that up myself. All right, guys, with those 4 clips, that's going to end episode 4 of What Not to Do. Again, we really appreciate all the people following us and watching us and giving us the positive feedback. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe so you get notifications when we get new episodes up. If you haven't already, please check out our website, OregonRMS.com. You can see our trauma kits, you can see our fire extinguishers, you can learn more about what we do. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you at the next episode.